Well, welcome aboard. I'm Simon, this is Kim on Sailing Britican, and we put out an email a couple of weeks ago asking what questions you have, and we got a fantastic response, so we're going to start going through some of the questions and see how it goes.
Yeah, and if you want to be on our email list, we send out an email every Tuesday, and it will explain what new articles we have on the website, and it also talks about our latest video. We got a range of questions, so I'm just going to read them off and then we're going to answer them.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Alright, so my computer is over here, so I'm going to look at the computer to read and then I'll look back at you. Simon, Kim, and Sienna, we would love to know how you handle bank accounts and money, mail, and medical insurance. So we got lots here going on here. This person said, we're setting sail for good after hurricane season and are having difficulty setting up the proper accounts that would be best for world travel. Any advice on the subjects would be appreciated. Love your videos. The Straub family, sailing vessel, unsheltered. Great questions here. Really good questions.
Bank accounts. Being British and American, we've got two accounts. What happens with the British one, it seems to be a little bit more reasonable. They don't have so many big charges, so we can take money out through the ATM and when we're buying through our cards, and they don't seem to charge us, where the American ones just go mad with charges, don't they?
Yeah, I get a charge every time I charge something like on a foreign currency, and then you're charged to take money out of the bank. I guess it depends where you're from and what you're gonna have to do. For the most part, we carry almost no cash on us. We have like a little bit of currency of all the currencies that we like experience in the Caribbean. So we have Euro, we have Eastern Caribbean, we have dollar. And that's just because we've used it and we left one of the countries and we've moved on. Just always find an ATM, and we usually take out the most amount we can so that we do avoid these charges.
Yeah.
So we're only charged once instead of for little amounts.
Yeah.
And we do use our card a lot for like groceries and just restaurants.
Big expenses we use it for.
Yeah.
If it's small expenses, then we use the cash that we've taken out in the ATM.
In England, we're using cards that are debit cards. In America, we have debit cards and we also have a credit card. So depending on what I'm purchasing, like I think credit cards I feel safer with because you can get your money back if there's a fraudulent transaction. And then we also have prepaid credit cards, which we have the one from the UK Post Office.
Yeah, and that's in euros. We're in St. Martin now, so we can use that here.
I think the best thing to do is have fallback plans. So have a bit of cash, but also have like credit cards, and if you can get prepaid cards, just as for emergency. For mail, you can buy a P.O. box, or you can buy like a postal address in any country and have mail forwarded to it, or just send mail directly to it. We have an address in the UK, which is Simon's father's.
Yep.
So we send our UK post to him, and then I use my mom's address in America. If we need to get mail, we give stuff to people and they fly it down to us. And if you think about it, like we've been doing this for 5 years, we don't get mail. I mean, there's nothing, there's nothing that we really, you know, get sent to us. And if there is something important, it goes to like my parents or Simon's parents.
Yeah. Okay, medical, very big question.
Especially from Americans.
Especially for Americans. What medical insurance do you have? We do not have any. The cost of it is sometimes prohibitive, especially for me being in the States. It was something like $15,000 a year they wanted for me to stay there for the year, which is just ridiculous, I think. Luckily I didn't get injured or hurt or sick when I was in the States, but I have been slightly injured and a bit sick since we've been in the Caribbean, and you had your scare with your heart, and all expenses total on those two things. I had to go to hospital, I got a CAT scan, I got, you name it, I got ECG,
well, an ambulance ride,
and that came to $350 US.
Yeah. And I was in the hospital in Grenada for 5 days, and when I went to pay the bill, they said there is no bill.
There is no bill.
So, and Sienna's had some teeth work done. She's had a tooth pulled. She's had a couple fillings, and something else. And it's maybe $100 here and there.
Yeah.
So, and we've talked to many people, if you break an arm, break a leg, and if you have any kind of emergency, it's not expensive. I think the big thing we're maybe all worried about is like, a critical illness or, cancer.
Or a really serious injury.
Yeah.
And, we're not saying that that's what you should do, is not get insurance. You've got to do what you feel you're comfortable with.
Yeah, we also have the fallback of going back to the UK where healthcare is free for us.
Yes.
So I think we're in a very fortunate position. The other thing you have to think about with medical is when you get to these countries in the Caribbean, and if you're going into the Pacific and stuff, in some cases the medical care is nothing like you would expect. I mean, it's basic.
Very basic.
Basic at most. I think if you're going to do this life, you have to realize that it's, you know what? I didn't start the audio. Crap. Hopefully I don't have a ton of wind noise on all that. So I think if you're going to live this lifestyle, you have to accept the fact that there are some risks. I mean, there's risks in everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know, if you worry about it and you are concerned about healthcare and you're afraid you're going to get ill and you're going to end up in a bad hospital and stuff, I don't know. My suggestion is just don't go sailing then.
Well, not that. You just pay for insurance.
Yes, pay for insurance, but also understand if you get hurt, you could be stuck somewhere and you're not going to get back to America or wherever
Well, you
you're
get
from.
back to America, but
It might take a while.
It might take a while.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it with medical. Right, what's the next question?
So this is from Trevor Malda, and he asked, my biggest question at the moment is the different ways to purchase a boat. Loan, mortgage, outright buying it isn't an option for us unless we sell our house. But if we finish renovating it and have it rented, that would cover a boat payment. I don't know too much about financing boats. I do know that some boats can be financed and some boats cannot be. And I think it has to do with age, the age of the boat.
Yeah. Yes, I believe anything over 20 years and they don't get finance, but don't. That's what I believe.
But what you could do, what I would suggest is get in touch with a broker that acts on your behalf and say, hey, this is the monthly income that we're going to have. We'd be comfortable with a loan value of X. Could you help us look at what's out there and see what the finance options are and just start there? This question is from Paul Glensky, and he said, my question is about paying for all the expenses you encounter. How do you get cash at the various places you visit? I imagine sometimes you can pay by credit card, but not always. Do you visit ATMs and withdraw cash? And what if you're not near an ATM? And do you always carry dollars, euros, and pounds? And if so, how do you calculate how much of each? So we've kind of answered a lot of this already. Yeah. There are ATMs everywhere. Yeah. In the Caribbean and in the Med. Those are the two main places we've been.
I remember we were in Greece and they wanted cash and they didn't want credit cards, so they lent me their car, and every day I went out and got the maximum I could get out on the ATM, and I did that for so many days, and then I paid them cash when I got back, and that's what I did.
Who's they? You just told a story that makes no sense. They, and you borrowed their car, and what were you paying for?
Well, I'm not going to mention their names.
No, but like, okay, so you're talking about an actual boat job, right?
I had a boat, yes. Tired.
Simon has this thing where he starts a conversation like halfway through, missing out all the important details. So when he's done talking, like you're like, what? What are you talking about? Okay, start again.
Right, so we were getting a boat job done, and they wanted cash and they didn't want credit card because they didn't have a credit card machine. So they lent me their car to drive about 5 miles to the town, and every morning I'd go there and get the cash until I had enough cash to pay for the bill. So that's what we did on there. Yeah,
for big expenses. And sometimes you can do like money transfers.
Yeah, but generally most take cards, credit cards, debit cards.
Yeah. When we pay for big stuff, so 5,000, 10,000 on up, we use my old currency company, which is in the UK. And so I put the money in the currency company. The currency company converts it to whatever.
Then puts it in their bank.
Whatever currency
they want.
And then I tell them where to send it, and they send it over. So that's really easy.
Yep.
Got a good question from Oz Rhodes. He says, I'm just making some final adjustments to the boat before we also spend some time cruising. My question's two parts. What can you and Simon not live without, and what did you buy that you wish you hadn't? Well, first of all, I'll tell you what we wish we didn't buy.
Copper coat.
Copper coat.
Yes.
Do not buy copper coat. Okay? I don't think we need to say more of that. Watch any of our videos on copper coat and you'll find out why. And the other stuff...
Folding bikes.
Yeah, and we do have somebody that asked a question on folding bikes. Yeah, I suppose if you're like really into biking and you use it a lot and you get your WD-40 or whatever you're going to use to keep it from corroding, maybe it would be good to have.
And it takes up a lot of space. I must admit though, it was great when we stayed in the Marina de Ragusa and I was taking Sienna up to school because it was up a hill.
What I would suggest though, if you're going to winter somewhere or spend a hurricane season somewhere and you do want to use a bicycle, I would just go find one like at a charity shop or try and figure out like how, to source like a proper bicycle while you're there for 6 months. Because the folding bikes, they just take up space, they're clunky, and they corrode and fall apart. The other thing is, we bought our folding bikes in Europe and we could use them in Sicily. Then when we got to the Caribbean, there's no road you can ride a bike on around here. You're going to end up in some kind of, manhole or hole and be lost forever because it's just all the roads are really potted and the drivers are crazy. So it's just the Caribbean's not a great biker place.
In the next Q&A, we'll tell you what we can't live without. Make sure you subscribe.
Next question is from Jim Coghill. He says, I think you already had a medical experience in a foreign country. How did the logistics of that go? How was it paid for? What level of care did you receive? And he said, old farts would like to know.
Okay, yeah, well, I think we've already covered that, but it's a good question.
I just have to say, it's a lot less expensive than you would think. The care is probably not as good as you would expect, but it's still proper care.
Yeah.
So we've been happy with everything. Simon was in the hospital in St. Kitts. I was in the hospital in Grenada. The doctors and the staff, everybody was fantastic.
Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, it was good. And then if you do want to read about the costs, I've got some articles about exactly what it costs us and the biggest cost for us was to fly back to London.
Yeah.
That was the only really cost we incurred. So we've got a question from Edward and Rebecca Addy. The first one is, how much does it cost per month total to operate and live on Britican? And 2 is, what do you do to earn money while on board Britican other than take people on board for week cruises? Good questions. People have been asking this for years. I'd love to say how much it costs us.
But it varies so much.
Okay, this is the good news. Every year it gets less and less expensive to operate the boat.
Yeah, the first year I think everyone goes out, buys lots of stuff, wants this, wants that, and just spends
way too much.
Way too much. We did, and I think everyone else does, and then they realise that, hang on, we can't do this anymore because we're going to run out of money. Our money's going out so quickly. And then you realise that, okay, I've bought all the stuff that I need now, and then it seems to calm down.
Well, also, too, you keep taking your boat the first year or two to, like, service mechanics or whatever, and the boat keeps breaking, and then eventually you realize you've got to learn how to fix stuff yourself. And we do still call specialized people in, but now we sit with them, we really understand what is going on, and we gain a perspective as how we can fix stuff.
Fix it, yeah.
And the other one is preventative. Like, Simon services the engines routinely. We have a rotor of what we're fixing so that things last a lot longer, and that brings the price down. Mm-hmm. So I think in the beginning, gosh, I dread to think how much.
Let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
But also, it all depends on what you want to do. If you're sitting at anchor and you're cooking it on the boat every day, and you're having cheap food stuff, then it can be quite reasonable. Yeah. But if you go out every other day and you want to go out and you go out drinking every day and you go out to eat out all the time, then the cost goes up really a lot.
Yeah.
You can't say, right, this is how much it's going to cost you, because everybody's different. Everyone wants to do different things. I remember seeing somebody that was on €1,500, which is equivalent to $1,500 per month, and that included everything.
And there was a couple.
But they only sailed about to about 3 bays in the whole year, and then the winter in the marina virtually exactly where they were every time. If that's what you want to do, then you can do that. If you want to go out and sail a long way, then it's going to cost you a lot more. You can't put a figure on how much does it cost per month per boat, because this boat is expensive compared to the boat that's next to us, and then there's a boat further down which will cost a lot more than this one.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people too, like we said in the beginning, they go a bit gung-ho. We certainly did. And then when people tell you about safety and security, I mean, you buy all sorts of things to be safe. You do all these things to prevent a disaster. And like the salespeople really know how to sell everything to you. Don't they?
Yeah, they do.
No matter what, I think, if you have a steady income, and that's really important. If you've got money coming in every month, you can probably make it work. And that leads us to the next question, which is, how do you earn money? Okay, so aside from our week-long cruises, the way that we earn money is we have a website and we sell guides on Amazon, we sell them on the website, and we sell them in a couple other places. Yep. We also have a place where we sell t-shirts. We sell advertising spaces on the website. I write for magazines. Sometimes newspapers want to interview us, and they'll pay us for interviews. Yeah. And then on top of that, there's Patreon, which is where patrons support our video productions. Yep. And so they get benefits. They get to see our videos early, and they get access to our digital guides and a variety of things like that. On top of that, we have a Britican membership. So every month we have members that pay $100 per month to be in contact with us, call us up, ask us questions about buying a boat, about once they've got the boat, passage planning, all sorts of stuff like that.
Everyone thinks you get a lot of money from YouTube, but you don't get a lot of money from YouTube.
Oh, no, we get nothing from YouTube. Get $100 a month, maybe.
$100 a month, yeah.
We also have a property, too. We're not renting it out now, but in the future we can rent it out. So that's an income source. My way of thinking is to diversify and have lots of money streams. Some of them might be a couple hundred a month, and others might be a little bit more. But if you have quite a few, if one of them goes down, like let's say Patreon tomorrow blows up, we won't suffer because we didn't have all our eggs in one basket. Yeah. I have to say, though, out of all those things that we just mentioned, we probably make, I would say, maybe $1,500 to $2,000 tops a month on all the different revenue streams, which is not enough to keep this boat running. Mm-hmm. So by us bringing in the week-long sailing experiences, that has changed everything for us. Yeah,
most definitely.
Yeah, that's made it possible for us to continue to not only live our lifestyle, but share it with others, which has been fantastic.
Yeah, it's been great. Love it.
Yeah. Got some questions from Dawa.
Hi, Dawa.
Hi, Dawa, who stayed with us for a while, and I think it's coming back. Your first question is, do you have to pay income tax? And that is a really good question.
And do we have to pay income tax? We haven't been paying income tax because we've been making no money. But now we started making money. It depends on where you set up your business. Mm-hmm. We've set it up back in the UK, so yes, we will be paying income tax, we'll be paying tax, and that's part of what I'm dealing with, getting it all sorted, and we have a lawyer back in the UK that's helping us out with that. So yes, if you're making money and it's over a certain amount of money, yes, you will be paying income tax.
Yeah. And there's different ways you can structure companies, and there's all sorts of creative things you can do. Mm-hmm. One note to Americans, and a lot of Americans I meet don't realize this, and also people that have green cards. If you're American, you have to pay tax to the U.S. government for your entire life, no matter where you live. There's absolutely no way out of it unless you are seen not to be making money. And even then, you still have to file an income tax return and a federal and a state return. Maybe not state. I can't remember what I do. I have, you can get special accountants that do your tax returns for you. But you have to declare every bank account you have around the world, and you have to declare how much income you have made, yep. Even if you're not going to pay tax. Yep. And failure to do so is, I think, either 5 years in prison or a $25,000 fine per year.
Something like that, yeah.
So if you're American and you are going to make money while on the boat, even though you're not in the States, it's not good to put your head in the sand because you have to file every year. In some places, you do have to pay tax to the place you are based on the fact that you have a boat. So it's like a property tax.
Yeah.
Now, Greece has just introduced a tax, so all boaters are now paying a kind of property tax.
Yep.
We thought in America we wouldn't have to pay property tax. And we were wrong about that. In different states have different regulations, and if you happen to be in a state when the income tax is due and your boat is there, you will get you get taxed. So people know about this tax. Boaters know about this tax, and what they do is the day before they leave, and then they come back. And when we were in South Carolina, we were I don't know if it's the IRS comes around or who comes around. The state comes around to see what boats are there. Yeah. But you have to be real careful.
Yeah, we never got any paperwork through. They never sent anything to us, so we didn't pay any. We haven't paid any, and no one's been after us or anything. So.
No, but I think it's important to realize not to assume that you don't have to pay property tax.
Okay, make sure to subscribe to hear our next Q&As, which will be on what's the deal with insurance and hurricane cover? Do you need a license to drive a little dinghy? Do you need any licenses or permits to drive a bigger boat? What's the deal between European electrics and a US electrics 110 and 220? What's it like to go from a professional life to a boat life? And propane tanks, pump out boats, carbon footprint and internet. Subscribe now or fast track your learning and come on with us on Britican for a week. More information here.
That's actually up there.
There. More information up here.